Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to our monthly meeting of the Cobb County Board of Zoning Appeals. And as is our custom at this time, I'd like to introduce you to Mr. Officer Ott. Officer Ott is going to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, so we'd all please rise and we'll do the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you. Okay, for those of you that are here for the first time, let me give you a little idea on how we're going to conduct the meeting today. The first thing that we'll concern ourselves with is the continued and held cases. These are cases that this board has reviewed and they were held for previous meetings. Then we'll get into the consent agenda. And as we get into the consent agenda, the way we will proceed is Mr. John Peterson, our head zoning administrator, will read into the record the applicant and what the applicant is asking for. As we go through that, the applicant, he or she, will identify themselves by raising their hand. And likewise, if there's anybody here in opposition to any of these particular cases, if they would raise their hand and be recognized, and if we do have opposition, we will pull that case and hear it in its regular numeric order. The next course of business will be our regular agenda. Again, the procedure will remain the same. Mr. Peterson will read these into the record. The applicant will identify themselves. Likewise, the opposition will identify themselves. At that time, our officer today is Ms. Bates. Ms. Bates will call you forward. Those of you that are going to give testimony will be brought forward to be sworn in, and all testimony will be given to the podium to my right. At that time, the applicant, he or she, will have a 10-minute period to make their application known to this board. Likewise, and collectively, those in opposition will also have a 10-minute period to make their opposition known to this board. So if you have more than one speaker, be cognizant of the fact you have a total of a 10-minute period. With that said, I'm going to ask Mr. Peterson if he has any special announcements to be made at this time. John?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and Board. There is one announcement I need to make. There's one case on today's printed agenda which has been withdrawn by the staff without prejudice. It will not be heard today. As a variance case V113, Chastain Metals 2014 LLC. That case has been withdrawn without prejudice by staff and will not be heard today. And with that, Mr. Chairman, I'm ready to start the consent agenda.
Okay, let's go right into it, John.
Cobb County Board of Zoning Appeals, variance hearing consent agenda for November 14th, 2018. Variance case V34, Vinings Jubilee Partners LTD, request a variance to waive the minimum sign setback requirement of 62 feet from center line of an arterial road right-of-way. Waive the minimum sign setback requirement of 42 feet from the center of any other road right-of-way. Waive the requirement that all ground-based monument-style signage must be located a minimum of 1 foot from the existing public right-of-way. And 4, waive the requirement for ground-based monument-style signage to allow the signs depicted in the attached renderings in land lots 908, 909, 952, and 953 of the 17th District. The property is located on the south and west side of Paces Ferry Road, east of the CSX rail line, bisected by New Paces Ferry Road. Staff recommends approval, subject to traffic comments, water comments, sewer comments, and subject to the revised sign package dated October 15, 2018. Is the applicant present? Let the record show the applicant's here. Is there anyone here opposed to variance case V34? Let the record shows no one opposed. Variance case V102, Juana Zarco Ramirez requests a variance to waive the front setback from required 35 feet to 18 feet. To waive the side setback from required 10 feet to 7 feet adjacent to the east property line. Waive the side setback for an accessory structure under 144 square feet for an approximately 80 square foot shed from required 5 feet to 2 feet adjacent to the east property line. And to waive the rear setback for an accessory structure under 144 square feet for an approximately 80 square foot shed from required 5 feet to 2 feet in land lot 422 of the 16th District. The property is located on the north side of Joel Drive, west of Embry Lane. Staff recommends approval, subject to the following conditions. applicant to get a building permit for the new construction, and sewer comments. Is the applicant present? Let the record show the applicant is here. Is there anyone here opposed to variance case V102? Let the record show there's no one opposed. Variance case V103, Perla Hernandez requests a variance to allow an accessory structure, which is a proposed swimming pool, to be to the side of the principal building and to allow an accessory structure, proposed approximately 456 square foot pool house, to be to the side of the principal building in land lot 184, the 20th district. The property is located on the northwest corner of Old Stylesboro Road and Ackworth Due West Road. Staff recommends approval. Is the applicant present? Let the record show the applicant is here. Is there anyone here opposed to variance case V103? Let the record show there's no one opposed. Variance case V104, Leonel Nunez requests a variance to allow an accessory structure for an approximately 396 square foot carport to be to the side of the principal building. Allow an accessory structure, an approximately 396 square foot carport to be located closer to the side street right-of-way line than the principal building, and to allow parking and/or maneuvering of vehicles on a non-hardened and treated surface, which is gravel, in land lots 221 and 284 of the 17th district. The property is located on the southeast corner of Caruth Drive and East Side Drive. Staff recommends approval, subject to the following conditions: traffic comments, development inspections comments, stormwater management comments, and 25-foot paved apron to be approved by Cobb DOT. Is the applicant present? The director show the applicant is here. Is there anyone here opposed to variance case of V104? Let the record show there's no one opposed. Variance case V106, Billy L. Kane requests a variance to waive the major side setback on tract 1 from required 25 feet to 23 feet, and that is existing. We have the side setback for an accessory structure under 650 square feet for a 214 square foot portable building from required 10 feet to 1 foot adjacent to the east property line on tract 1. Allow parking and/or maneuvering of vehicles on a non-hardened or treated surface, which is for existing gravel on tract 1. Waive the rear setback on tract 2 from required 35 feet to 32 feet, which is existing. And waive the side setback for an accessory structure under 650 square feet for a 165 square foot portable building from required 10 feet to 7 feet, adjacent to the west property line on tract 2. The property is located in land lots 859 and 870 of the 16th district and is located at the corner of Bells Ferry Road and Dixon Road. Staff recommends approval, subject to traffic comments and development inspection comments. Is the applicant present? Let the record show the applicant is here. Is there anyone here opposed to variance case V106? Let the record show there's no one opposed. Variance case V107, the estate of Jerry Furr requests a variance to waive the front setback from required 50 feet to 42 feet and waive the side setback from required 20 feet to 19 feet adjacent to the north property line. Oh, and also waive the rear setback from required 30 feet to 29 feet in land lot 35 of the 17th district. The property is located on the east side of Old Floyd Road, south of Center Street. Staff recommends approval. Is the applicant present? Let the record show the applicant is here. Is there anyone here opposed to variance case V107? Let the record show there's no one opposed. Variance case V108, Srikanth Patnuru and Sunitha Patnuru request a variance to waive the rear setback for an accessory structure under 650 square feet for an approximately 264 square foot building from required 30 feet to 1 foot. To waive the side setback for an accessory structure under 650 square feet for an approximately 264 square foot building required 10 feet to 6 feet. And number 3, waive the front setback for an accessory structure under 650 square feet for an approximately 180 square foot tree hut from required 35 feet to 0 feet, and allow an accessory structure, which is the approximately 180 square foot tree hut, to be to the front of the principal building and land lot 817 of the 16th district. The property is located on the southeast corner of Khaki Court and Craig Court. Staff recommends approval, subject to stormwater management comments, and the stairs to be relocated off the right-of-way. Is the applicant present? Let the record show the applicant is here. Is there anyone here opposed to variance case V108? Let the record show there's no one opposed. Variance case V109, David Jewell requests a variance to waive the side setback from required 10 feet to 5 feet adjacent to the north property line in land lot 619 of the 16th district. The property is located at the northeast intersection of Post Oak Trick Road and Tritt Springs Trace. Staff recommends approval, subject to development inspections comments and stormwater management comments. Is the applicant present? Let the record show the applicant is here. Is there anyone here opposed to variance case of V109? Let the record show there's no one opposed. Variance case V110, Charles E. Jackson requests a variance to waive the rear setback from required 30 feet from previous variance V60 of 2011 to 20 feet, and to waive the setbacks for an accessory structure under 144 square feet for an approximately 120 square foot shed on blocks from required 5 feet to 4 feet adjacent to the east property line and to 0 feet to the rear property line in land lot 559 of the 19th district. The property is located on the northwest side of Windage Way, west of Windage Drive. Staff recommends approval, subject to applicant to permit the addition with the final approval by development inspections. Is the applicant present? Let the record show the applicant is here. Is there anyone here opposed to variance case V110? Let the record show there's no one opposed. Variance case V111, Speed D requests a variance to waive the setback for a freestanding sign from required 62 feet from center line of an arterial road right-of-way to 50 feet, and to allow an electronic message sign on a lot with less than 200 feet of public road frontage on one road in land lot 195 of the 20th district. The property is located on the northeast corner of Dennis Kent Lane and Mars Hill Road. Staff recommends approval, subject to traffic comments and site plan review comments. Is the applicant present? Let the record show the applicant is here. Is there anyone here opposed to variance case of V111? Let the record show there's no one opposed. Variance case V112, Richard R. Mitacek requests a variance to allow an accessory structure, a proposed 1,500 square foot garage to be to the front of the principal building, and to waive the setbacks for an accessory structure over 1,000 square feet for a proposed 1,500 square foot garage from the required 100 feet to 32 feet from the front property line and 15 feet from the west property line in land lot 106 of the 18th district. The property is located on the west side of Holloman Road, north of Stout Parkway. Staff recommends approval, subject to stormwater management comments and color of the accessory structure to be consistent with the existing house. Is the applicant present? Let the record show the applicant is here. Is there anyone here opposed to variance case V112? Let the record show there's no one opposed. Variance case V114, David C. Austin requests a variance to waive the rear setback for a 400 square foot shed, which is the eastern structure from required 35 feet to 20 feet. Waive the setback for a 950 square foot shed and gazebo, which is the western accessory structure, from 100 feet to 15 feet adjacent to the north property line and to 20 feet adjacent to the western property line in land lot 250 of the 20th district. The property is located on the north side of Gilbert Road, west of Old Mountain Road. Staff recommends approval, subject to development and inspections comments and improvements as shown on the exhibit contained in the variance analysis. Is the applicant present? Let the record show the applicant is here. Is there anyone here opposed to variance case V114? Let the record show there's no one opposed, and that completes the consent agenda, Mr. Chairman and Board.
Okay, John, good job. All right, it's back to this board for discussion, comments, questions. Not hearing or seeing anything. I'll entertain a motion for approval.
I'll make a motion that we approve the consent agenda as presented.
Got a motion? Second, Brian, all those in favor signify by voting yes or no. Here we go. All right, Madam Secretary, we're going to approve the consent agenda with a 5-0 vote. Ladies and gentlemen, what that means is if you were lucky enough to be on the consent agenda, your business is complete with us for today. You're welcome to stay or you're welcome to leave. If you leave, please leave quietly and we'll continue on. Thank you. And a happy Thanksgiving. Absolutely, happy Thanksgiving. Safe travels. Okay, John, you want to lead us into the promised land with V34. Is that our next one we're gonna look at? 77, okay, I'm sorry, 77.
Variance case V77, Benjamin Davis requests a variance to allow the setbacks for an accessory structure over 650 square feet. To waive the setbacks for an accessory structure over 650 square feet for an existing approximately 720 square foot metal garage, required 100 feet to 7 feet, adjacent to the west property line and the 40 feet in the rear, and land lot 730 of the 16th district. The property is located on the south side of Kingswood Drive, east of Arnold Avenue. Is the applicant present? Let the record show the applicant is here. Is there anyone here opposed to variance case V77? The record shows one person opposed. Would the applicant and any opposition please come forward to be sworn in?
All right, we'll take the applicant first. And again, for the purpose of the record, sir, if you would, please give us your name.
Ben Davis.
Ben, tell us what you're here for and what you're asking for.
Like it says, I have a existing structure, 720 square feet, metal garage. We've been kind of back and forth on it for a while now and kind of looked at all our options. And we looked at, I got quotes for having it moved. And from my understanding, it would just cost more than what the garage is even worth to move it with having to grade everything and pour new concrete. And from my understanding, you'd actually have to take the garage apart and reassemble it in order to move it because of the way it's built. And I'm more than willing to paint it or pay for landscaping and do anything I can to try and keep it. I have about $30,000 invested in this project, and it's just something that I've always wanted. It means a lot to me, and it would really hurt me financially if I had to tear it down. But I don't really know what else I can say at this point.
Well, tell us what you're using, what you're going to use the building for. What's the purpose of the building?
I work on cars in my spare time just as a hobby, not as a job. I just like building stuff and working on things in my free time. I'm a graphic designer by trade, and it's just a good way for me to, I like working with my hands, and it's just always been a dream of mine to have a good workspace that I could use.
Anything else you'd like to tell us?
Not that I can think of.
Okay, let me just remind everybody, this board originally heard this case on September the 12th, and we've continued it since then to give you an opportunity and the opposition opportunity to talk and discuss and with the help of Ms. Williams. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. All right, just anything else you'd like to tell this board at this time?
You know, we met with an engineer and I met with the neighbors several times, and it doesn't seem like we're able to come to a resolution on it. But I'll do anything I can that's within my means to be able to keep it. But I don't think the neighbors requested that I move it. They wanted me to move it back like 10 to 15 feet, and I don't see how that would make much of a difference. It's still be visible, and like I said, it was just the cost would be more than the garage is worth. So I think that's about all I can say.
Okay. All right, sir, if you would, just have a seat. At this time, we will hear from the opposition. And again, sir, if we start off, could you give us your name, please, first?
Alexander Laniger.
Okay, Laniger, go right ahead.
All right. like he stated, we've been going on for months trying to negotiate a solution that will fit both of our needs. Me and my family do not like the building. It's too close to our property. We do share an adjoining driveway, so it's a unique situation to begin with. We proposed that the building be moved back as one of our solutions because after looking at landscaping options, the building's just very tall. It blocks our line of sight from what we love about the neighborhood. You know, the fact that you can see wildlife, trees, and moving it back would take it out of line of sight because it would be adjacent to our current shed, and it would line up with that. I do understand that there's money involved in that, but that's, you know, I don't understand why that should have to impact our family on a house that we've paid off and owned for over 30 years. We have looked at many options. The fact that the building is just too tall is our main concern. If it was shorter, it would not be in our line of sight. Also, I understand there was never any permits to get the building. There was never any permits for grading, pouring of cement. And I feel if those permits were applied for, that none of this, I don't know that the building would have been approved in the first place. That's about all I have to say.
Okay. Anything else you want to add to that?
I would love for him to keep, I get it that it's his hobby, I would love for him to be able to keep the building, but if it's not possible for it to be moved back, I think that it would be best to have it disassembled and either saved for him to be able to put up on a property in the future or sold so he can regain some of his assets.
Okay. Anything else, sir?
No, sir.
Okay, for the purpose of the record, is there anybody here wishing to speak in opposition to case B77? Hearing and not seeing anybody, it's back to this board for discussion. Ms. Williams represents that district, so I'm going to turn it over to Ms. Williams. Mr. Alexander, you can have a seat now. Thank you. Ms. Williams.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have met several times with the applicant and the neighbor, and first of all, let me say that it was very nice meeting with, it's not like a hostile environment there. The neighbors are certainly very nice, and the applicant was nice. The whole thing is, he got the building without a building permit, he put it up without a building permit. And the neighbor's objection is the sight line. So Dave Braden was kind enough to go out to check and see if one of the solutions the neighbor came up with was moving the building back, which then would have required that we'd have to apply for another variance because then it would have put the building on the neighbor behind it. So it would have had to have been re-advertised and that neighbor would have had to approve it. Also, it would have required the very thing that they were wanting to save, tree lines, it would have required cutting down the trees, if you can see them back here, cutting down those trees to move the building back. So we looked at that option. The other option was, could you actually move this building? He's exactly right, talking to several different people. You can't physically move that back. You'd have to, well, he could grade, you'd have to disassemble it, take it apart, and then move it back and put a new pad. So there were several things that we did look at. While he didn't get a building permit, I don't think that his mistake that he made, and he did make a mistake, warrants having to tear down the building. One of the, I don't know where you can show this or not. I have a picture of the neighbor's shed, and I want you to look at The shed, he mentioned the shed, his shed, he mentioned it. And I think you can see from, if we can do this, you can see his sight line, he talked about, the neighbor talked about the sight line. Okay, that's the neighbor's shed right there. And if you look real close, you can see that right there, there's his building, Ben's building, you
Yeah.
can see it. So it's not exactly blocking his, the neighbor's skyline, as you can see. You can see trees above it. And then if you could turn it, there's another picture, he talked about, you know,
Maybe you should turn the screen.
all right, and that's the neighbor's backyard. And that's the neighbor talked about his sunroom in the back there, that it was blocking his vision of, when he was in the sunroom. So, this is what we've been working with. So, the solution that I came up with, and I think it's an appropriate solution, is that the applicant would be required, I'm gonna make a motion unless anyone else has a comment. I'm gonna make a motion that we approve it subject to the applicant has to get building permits from the county. The applicant is would be required to paint the structure and also to paint his house, the trim. He agreed to do that and paint the structure. And he would get with the county arborist about doing landscaping on the side. I'm leery of having him put trees between, there's 8-foot setback between a retaining wall and this building, and I'm leery of putting trees in that 8-foot because I'm afraid of the root structure is going to. So, but I think because they share a driveway, they could do some landscaping down past this building that would improve it. So, John, if he could get with the county arborist to see what kind of landscaping could be achieved on that side of the building. All right. And so that would be my motion.
And I'll second that.
Got a motion, I have a second. Any other comment? We had mentioned the word Dave Braden. Let's explain that Dave Braden is in charge.
I'm sorry, Dave is stormwater management. He's an engineer with stormwater management. He did go out and meet me on site. The applicant and the neighbor were there. And I think Dave, he can just shake his head if he agreed that it would be difficult to move the structure back. David was actually a little more familiar with structures than I was.
Right.
So,
Very good. I wanted to get that on record. Okay, I've got a motion, got a second. No other comments? Call for the vote, yes or no, or vote as you please. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to approve this application with a vote of 5-0. All right, John, where am I? What's our next one?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The next three cases are kind of related, Mr. Chairman and Board. They are right next to each other. Would it be the board's wish to hear these together and have separate motion on each one?
Let's read them all into the record. Let's do them all three at one time if we
Okay.
can.
All right.
Okay?
Variance case V99, Roshan Patel and Manij Patel request a variance to waive the maximum height of a fence adjacent to a public road right-of-way and within the required setback in a residential district required 6 feet to 8 feet in land lot 914 of the 16th district. The property is located on the northeast side of East Piedmont Road, south of Sumo Road, and at the western terminus of Octavia Lane. Is the applicant present? The director show the applicant is here. Is there anyone here opposed to variance case V99? The director shows no one opposed. Additionally, variance case V100, Rashida Mohammadi requests a variance to waive the maximum height of a fence adjacent to a public road right-of-way and within the required setback in a residential district. Requires 6 feet to 8 feet in land lot 914 of the 16th district. The property is located on the east corner of East Piedmont Road and Sawmill Road. Is the applicant present? The director show the applicant is here. Is there anyone here opposed to variance case V100? Let the record shows no one opposed. And lastly, variance case V101, Matthew Reddington requests a variance to waive the maximum height of a fence adjacent to a public road right-of-way and within the required setback in a residential district requires 6 feet to 8 feet in land lot 914 of the 16th district. The property is located on the northeast side of East Piedmont Road, south of Sawmill Road. Is the applicant present? The director shows the applicant is here. Is there anyone here opposed to this variance? The director shows no one opposed. Would the applicant please come forward for presentation?
I'll tell you what, let's swear everybody in. Everybody that wants to make a comment, we may or may not call you up, but come on in, come on up, let's get you all sworn in at one time. Okay, we'll start off with one person.
I think I'm going to address for the group, if that's okay
Yes.
with you. Thank you, sir.
Okay, before we get started, give us your name for the record.
My name is Matthew Reddington. I'm the middle applicant between the three homes in this subdivision.
And you're going to make a presentation to represent all three people, is that correct?
That's correct, sir.
Very good, go right ahead.
Thank you, sir. We on? Excellent. Okay, so this started a little over a year ago, folks, with us looking at your website, which has been updated. I thank you for whoever updated it. It's much easier to find things now. And reading the clause that you all can currently see on there around fence heights at the rear of our property. So I'll give you all a moment to read that. If you want me to read it into the record, I can.
You read it into the
Sure.
record.
Any fence or wall adjacent to a public road right of way and within a residential front yard cannot be more than 6 feet in height. So note the key word there, front yard. Second sentence, fences or walls should be maintained in structurally sound condition. Fences or walls at the rear of a residence cannot exceed 8 feet in height. The height installation includes posts and ornaments on top of the fence or wall. So that is Cobb County's website for variances. So we are in compliance with what your website says today. So that's the first question of, I'm not quite sure why we're here. We've been talking to Donna Wells and several members of the county around this for around a year during the installation. The hardship that we applied for was basically due to noise, both from a traffic perspective and from folks walking down the street, as well as from a security perspective. The road is elevated above the back properties of our homes. We can drop to the original picture that he had, please, sir.
Okay.
East Piedmont Road is elevated above our properties. As you stand on East Piedmont, if you're taller than a toddler, you can look into the backyards and the back of our homes and stare at us as we're having dinner, sitting watching television. So there's some concerns both from a security perspective and from people viewing in, as well as we've had much trash and overspray as the county comes through to clean weeds on ornamental shrubs and trees in the backyards of the property. So we went to put that in there. Additionally, if I could have it back, sir. As we reviewed the area, this is an actual shot from Google Maps of the sides of our property. This is the Sewell Mill side of the property. If you'll bear with me, I'd like to take a quick tour of the property area for us. So this is the intersection in question. Immediately across the street from us, you all will see a stone masonry wall. The height of that wall is anywhere between 8 and 16 feet. That was pre-existing prior to our fence going in. As we continue down Sewell Mill Road, there are another 4 fences that are also taller than the wood fence that we put in as a structure. They've been put in by several different neighborhoods. Excuse me, let me get out of that neighborhood. Talking and driving at the same time here. So you got this neighborhood. I think several of you in the area have probably seen this one before with the fantastic frescoes on the outside of the wall. That one's actually 16 feet to the top of the globes. And so we can continue down the road. I can do that, but to save time, there's multiple other fences along that road. Hardships really from a children perspective. So we have a lot of young children in those homes. There's a security factor with folks approaching from the outside and being able to view into the homes, especially with break-ins that have occurred in the area recently. Overspray and then noise. We've actually seen a 6 decibel drop in the noise in our backyard by installing that fence from East Piedmont Road as measured with an iPhone decibel reader on the back of my property. That's pretty much the extent of the hardship that we were talking through, sir.
So why do you have your fence above 6 foot? I mean, that's the,
So we actually went with the ordinance that's online, sir. Your ordinance, as stated on the website, says we can put an 8-foot fence at the back of our property.
and your contention is the 8 foot is in the back part of your property? is
Yes,
that
sir.
correct? Okay. Anything else you want to tell us, or anything else you want to let us know about this?
The one thing we did hear is there was a person that was opposed to it down on Octavia Lane, and her concern was around a pre-existing fence that she thought was being changed, not the fence on East Piedmont Road.
Right.
So I know that there was a complaint called in on that, and we did go talk to that
And
one.
we did discuss in our work session, we understand that was a little erratic, so we
Yes, sir.
understand that. All right, all your neighbors that are there, anybody want to add to what this gentleman has said, or everybody happy? Shake your head yes or no, or whatever. Okay. Brian McDaniel is the guy in charge of that district, so I'm going to turn over to Brian at this time.
Thank you. I really don't have any questions. I've been talking with Matt and the Mojave for the other applicants for quite some time. So I'd open it up to anybody else that might have any.
I think we're all in agreement. We've discussed this pretty thoroughly on
Yeah.
Monday at our work session. So Brian, we're ready for
Okay.
a motion.
So even though we've treated this kind of as one case, I've got to read into the record, I think, 3 separate motions.
Yeah.
So if y'all will bear with me, and they will vary a little bit because of some differences in situations with respect to each property. So I'm going to start with case V99, and Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to approve case V99, subject to the following staff comments that have to do with water and sewer. Tim made a note here that the fence appears to be in a water main easement and a wood privacy fence. It's at risk per code 122-155. And on the sewer, fence appears to be in a sewer main easement. Fence cannot block access to sewer manholes. If it's a wood privacy fence, again, it is at risk per code 122-155. So with those comments, I would make a motion to approve.
Okay. Now, should we clarify those comments? The fact that what that means is if the county has to go in and clear the sewer line or work on the water line, we have a right to go and tear that fence down and go and fix the lines. Is that correct, John?
That's exactly right.
And John, am I? Correct. That's correct. I just want everybody to understand that. You keep the fence where it is right now, but if for whatever reason in the future, we have an emergency, the county has a right to go in there and tear the fence up to fix what's there. Everybody understand that? Okay. Do we need a motion on each one of these? Okay, so that's the motion. Do I have a second to that?
Second. I'll second.
Monique? No other comments? Discussion. Oh, discussion. Yes.
Yeah, I just want to make sure that I understand. The code, John, says that they can have an 8-foot fence in their backyard. And this is clearly their backyard, right? So there's not a variance.
It is their backyard, but it's also adjacent to a road. And when there's a fence along a roadway, the maximum height is 6 feet.
Sort of a tricky little thing.
Yeah, okay, it's
It may not be
adjacent to the
worded
road. Okay,
clearly,
so-
but that's what the intent of the code was.
Okay, so it's more than the location over the easements. It's also the fact that it's adjacent to a road. Okay, got it. Thank you.
Yes.
Yes,
Okay.
busy.
Affecting either
All
of
right,
those.
got a motion, got a second. No other comments. Call for the vote on V99. That's what we're doing. We got to do this one at a time. That's approved 5-0. Thank you. Next one.
Mr. Chairman, the water and sewer lines, I'm not seeing those as interference with the current fence based on the drawing you all see on your screens. So there's comments being made that they are there, but per the image on your screen, they're not.
Well, but the comments are coming from the sewer and water division people. Let me
Yeah,
call.
even where it's perpendicular, Matt,
Okay.
they just want to be able to,
Let's
do something with the fence if it's needed.
I just like a clarification
Yeah,
on that because
we'll
we've
get a
got plats.
clarification. Here comes our water and sewer man, Tim.
Yeah, Tim Davidson with Water and Sewer. I misunderstood. I thought we were talking about a fence back along that private road, I guess on the front of the property. I thought
Okay,
that's what I was referring to, because
It's
as
on
you can
East
see on the
Beach
drawing, the blue line is water and the green line is sewer, or the red line is sewer. So I was under the impression that there was a fence back there that that was under consideration.
so,
So my comments have nothing to do with any fence along Sewell Mill.
Okay.
We don't have water or sewer out there.
we don't have water.
No, we're
Well,
talking
East
about
Beach, I'm sorry.
Octavia. We're talking about where the property abuts Octavia.
There's nothing on East
Right
Beach
there.
from a water and sewer line perspective that butts our properties. Correct?
So you see where the arrow is?
Yeah, can you
Is
take
there
me
any
to
fence
the-
back there? You see where
That is, but that's not
see
part
where
of
the
this
blue
variance.
line,
Yep, that's not part of this variance.
but are there fences back there?
There are that are not part of this variance.
Okay,
But
so-
it
but
says
that's an
We
issue.
still address it.
So even though that's not the fence being considered for the variance, there's a fence there
Right.
that we're now made aware of.
That's fine.
So,
Matt, this just means in
That's
the
fine.
event that,
In the
they need
event
to
that
go
we
and do
have
repair
to.
work,
Yeah.
they would have to do something with that fence.
Tim, I think you're okay. All right, everybody okay? So understand, if we got to go tear it up, we're going to tear it up.
Perfectly fine with that.
Very good. So, John, V99 is taken care of. Monique, do you have a question? No. Brian, go to 100.
All right, we'll move on to case V100. The Mohammadi, I can't pronounce it right, I'm sorry. That's right, Mohammadi's. All right, so again, I would make a motion to approve, subject to the following staff comment regarding traffic, and this has been discussed with them, and that is that there are site distance issues with the section of fence on Sewell Mill Road. Recommend the applicant submit a site distance profile to Cobb County DOT upon redevelopment. If minimum site distance requirements cannot be met, recommend the applicant implement remedial measures subject to department's approval to achieve the minimum site distance requirement. Ashley's going to meet with them after our hearing to discuss that.
And I think the secret is upon redevelopment is the
exactly.
secret word. So I think we're all okay with that. Go ahead, Brian.
All right, so I've made a motion.
Go ahead.
Okay, then I make a motion subject to those comments for V100.
And,
I'll second.
and we're still, let me clarify again, are we going to leave the water and sewer comments in there too on this one?
It's not necessary in this case.
Not necessary. So we're going to take it out?
Yeah.
Okay, we'll take out the water and sewer, all the rest of it. It's just
Right.
subject to the traffic comment.
Right.
Okay, all those in favor signify by voting or voting no. Again, it's 5-0. Thank you. Let's go to 101. All right, you're doing a great job. We don't do this all the time, folks. We do it one at a time, but we're trying to be smart, I guess, today. All right, let's go, 101.
All right, this will be a little bit more straightforward. He sits in the middle of both of those properties. We heard from Matt, and I would make a motion to approve case VO 101.
And this is the fellow that's standing in front of us.
Yes, sir.
Exactly
We
right.
probably ought to just turn this down just for the face of it. Because he's giving us such a hard time today.
He's been a good guy. He's
He
been
has
very
been a good
responsive
guy.
to every inquiry I've made. So,
Very good.
any-
Motion and
I'll second.
second. Any other comments? Not hearing any, call for the vote. Okay, 5-0. Thank you. You have all done a wonderful job. You're all nice neighbors. Have a happy Thanksgiving and be careful going home.
You too. Thank you, Brian.
All right, where am I now?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. Variance case V105, Vining Station, request a variance to waive the setback for a freestanding sign from required 62 feet from the center line of an arterial road right-of-way to 50 feet in land lots 886, 908, and 909 of the 17th District. The property is located on the southeast corner of Twin Lakes Drive and faces Ferry Road. The applicant is present. Is there anyone here opposed to variance case V105? That direct shows one person opposed. All those folks and the applicant wishing to address the board, please come forward, be sworn in.
Anybody that's going to give testimony, come forward. All right, young lady, for the purpose of the record, if you would, please give us your name.
Kim Wakefield. I'm here on behalf of Deny Signs
Okay.
and the owner of the property. And I also have Nick Shepherd here with me, who is with Deny, if we have any questions that we need to bring him up.
Okay?
Are you ready?
Yes, ma'am, we are.
Okay. So we're just asking to reduce the required setback for the secondary sign on the property. More specifically, we like it to remain in the exact same place that it is now, and we're just going to be installing a new, more improved look, more updated look that's consistent with the overall property. I'm sure y'all are aware that the property's under renovations, and they're improving the whole property, and this just goes along with it. The main ID sign has already been approved and is in production, and has been since August.
Let me interrupt a second. Am I supposed to be looking at this, or am I supposed to be looking at something else? Do you have any visuals to show us?
No.
No, okay. Then I'm
I
fine.
got some if you would like, but, I mean, just a picture of the sign that was submitted.
No, I just wanted to make sure that we weren't
No.
messing you up. That's the reason I stopped you. Go right ahead.
I feel like this is more of a cleanup than a request. I mean, the sign, there is a sign there existing, and we are just asking to install the new sign in the exact same location.
Okay,
With that being said, I did submit a letter to stipulate that if it was approved.
okay.
Just to give you a little background, we applied for the sign permit along with the main ID sign, the two of them together, but had to pull this one off because of the setback. There's a variance on file back from 2001 that addressed the main ID sign, but not the secondary sign. Your guess is as good as mine as to why it didn't. I'm thinking that the road classification may have changed because it's about 53 feet back. A major and a minor collector would be 52 feet required setback, and an arterial is 62. So I don't know if somewhere along the way the road classification changed and they didn't need it originally, but we need it now.
John, let me ask a question. John Moore originally brought this in '01 or '02. Judy, you were here at the time. And I thought that was all addressed at that time. She just triggered my memory on that. So this sign was not in that '01 or, in '01's original, okay.
It was
Understand.
installed, but for some reason, I guess they didn't need the variance for it. That's what I'm saying. I'm not sure if the road
Okay.
classification changed. I understand that we do have some opposition, and I believe that that's going to be more about the design of the sign. And the request is only about the setback, so I'm not sure if y'all really want me to get into that.
I tell you, Kim, before you do that, what I'm looking at now on the screen is the intersection there. And is that a Quick Thrift? So the Quick Thrift property, or,
To the right, yes, to the left of the property right there where
Okay. And
that's
where-
the Quick Trip.
all right, where's the sign going?
It is sitting right there, if you go down just a little and to the left, right in that area. It is already in there.
Okay,
And I have been in discussions with Quick Trip, and that is why we submitted a letter. They don't have a problem with the sign. They just wanted to make sure we weren't trying to get any closer.
okay. Now, based on this picture, where would the sign be?
It's right there. He's got it on there.
Okay, I see it. Yeah, okay, right. All right, ma'am, anything else you want to tell us?
Not unless you want me to get into the design issue.
Brian, do we need to get into that or just hear from the opposition now, or?
She's got time, if she wants to, but I think
Yeah. All right, Kim, if that's all you have at this time, you may have a seat. We'll hear from the opposition. Anything else you want to tell us before you go?
At the point in renovations, if we had to change this sign, the design of this sign, the two would not match, which, we feel like that wouldn't be favorable for the property or the community to have a mismatch. And we have tried to be a good neighbor. The owners met with the Alliance group on, a few occasions. So, I could get more into all that, but I really don't think that's an issue. I don't think that's the point of today. Today is about the setback.
It's just setback. That's all we can address. That's all we can talk about, yes.
Correct.
Anything else you want to tell us, ma'am?
I don't think so. We just would ask that you approve it.
Okay, if you just have a seat, and at this time, we'll hear from the opposition.
Thank you.
All right, sir, before you get started, give us your name, please.
My name is Bert Smith.
Snell.
Smith.
Smith?
Smith. Bert Smith. S-M-I-T-H.
Oh, Smith, okay.
unusual name.
I get all, it is unusual, very unusual name. Mr. Smith, go right ahead, I'm sorry.
Okay, first of all, I'm here on behalf of the Vinings Village Homeowners Association
Okay.
and the Vinings Community Conservation Alliance.
Great,
Both of those groups are unanimously opposed to this variance. Actually, what we're really opposed to is the design of the two signs, the monument signs that they're putting out, both of them. The one that's actually closest to the street, for some reason, has a variance from 2001 and doesn't require a new variance. The second sign is further back. But Vinings has worked with the Cobb County community, or the Cobb County government, on developing the Vinings vision plan, which took probably 2 years of work, a lot of effort on the county's part, a lot of effort on the community's part. We came up with this book that basically shows what we want our Vinings community to look like. Earlier this year, Cobb County adopted the Vinings design guidelines, okay? And this project just doesn't follow them. And I emailed a copy of this to the owner in April, right when they were starting their work. And they've basically kind of ignored it. It's kind of like they don't really need our voice didn't count. So they've kind of marched on and done what they're gonna do. Now, it's my understanding that they've got one of these signs almost done, and then the second sign, they need a variance, so it gave us an opportunity to have a voice. But we kind of feel like if these guidelines aren't followed, then they become irrelevant.
I don't want to interrupt, but again, the issue before us, the only thing we can talk about today is just the right-of-way, the setback on the right-of-way. That's all that
Well,
we're here to.
who do we
Well,
bring that up with?
I think that's going to be a zoning issue, but it's an issue we can't help you with that at all today. Only thing we can do is just a setback. That's all that's before us. So if you have an issue with the design, John, I would think.
I mean,
that would
is
be-
it too late?
Wait a minute, let me ask Mr. Peterson, would that be a zoning issue that he'd have to bring that up before the zoning board, or how would that be
The
handled?
Vinings Vision Plan is a planning division study. So say this board approves the variance, the setback variance,
Okay, so the
then
setback,
the
we
applicant
could vote.
still has to go to the planning department, present their rendering of whatever they want to build to the planning department, and the planning department will determine if it meets the design guidelines or not.
But we can't make that decision. That's not what's before us today.
That's correct, it's just for a setback.
That's right. So I just want to make sure.
And we
you-
don't have an
you
objection to the
understood that.
setback. I mean, they're putting the sign back right where it is, so we don't
Yeah.
have an objection to that. It's just, the sign doesn't really fit anything close to what,
Well, what Mr.
the community
Peterson
was
is
hoping
saying
for.
is I think that particular handout that you have there, if you would go to Dana Johnson, who runs the community development, he would put you in touch with the guidelines folks with the county to talk about your specific problem. That's what I would do if I were you.
Okay, and that hit Dana Johnson?
Dana Johnson.
Okay,
If you wait till we're finished, we'll give you all that information.
okay.
Anything else you'd like to tell us, sir, about?
No, I mean, it's just really a design issue. Is what-
Yeah,
And we
right.
just felt like, we gave them the information and they just marched on and
Well,
didn't really.
you've had probably 8 minutes of TV time, so you've stuck up for all your Vinings folks pretty good. But it's an issue that we can't help you with. or
Okay,
I don't
thank you
think we
very
can.
much. I understand.
And I've really taken the liberty of really speaking for Mr. Bryan. I want to turn over to Mr. Bryan, who represents that district.
Well, thanks. Yeah, there was also a matter, I think, of timing. The design guidelines, I understand, were adopted, I think, by the commissioners in August, and they had already gotten approval on the primary sign at that point. This one was held up, the secondary sign, only because of this variance request. And,
Yeah,
but while you're there, Mr. Smith, I might just ask you, if you could, very quickly, what are the design issues that you have? I mean, it's kind of a moot point before us, but
It's
just
the
maybe
look
for
of
the
the sign. I
record.
mean, the design guidelines specify color and materials, and the color and materials of the sign they're putting in are
Okay.
totally different than what the
So
guidelines
instead
are.
of putting the red and black, they're putting green and yellow. Is that,
Yeah,
something like that?
Yeah.
Boy, we're getting really nitpicky with that stuff, aren't we?
Well, I mean, yeah, so to that point,
Yeah.
this is going to be a big improvement, I would think. I mean, from what I've seen versus what's there now. I mean, that's the other option you might have if, is them leaving the current sign there as opposed to making the improvements that they propose. So anyway, but no, I don't have any further questions.
We're ready for a motion, I think.
Okay, all right. Well, then in that case, I'm ready to make a motion that we approve case B-105, subject to any staff comments.
Judy Williams, second. All right, all those in favor or opposed signify by voting. We are going to approve that, Madam Secretary, with a 5-0 vote. John, where am I? Okay, that is very good. John, are you all ready for Thanksgiving at your house? Yes, sir. Very good. Well, we've got 2 minutes to approve there, Mr.
I'll make a motion that we approve the
CCA minutes from October 29th and November 12th.
And November 12th,
As presented.
as presented. Okay, so yes or no, please vote. Again, that's a 5-0 vote. Madam Secretary, I'd like to wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving, happy holidays. Take care, safe travels, and thank you very much. See you next month.